In this video, we're ranking the greatest players the Premier League has ever seen. We've got the list down to only 30 players, so yes, some absolute icons haven't made the cut. Let us know your thoughts in the comments while we decide who the Premier League GOAT is. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first player, David Silva.
David Silva. I love him. I think he's class. I've got a thing for Spanish midfielders. I mean, he's the GOAT.
Straight into go.
No, I think
It's going straight in there.
as a starting point, he's
He's definitely not. We ruled that out. He's definitely not just about made it. No chance.
I think he was one of those catalyst players that was the first part of Man City's revolution, I guess.
I think he's actually underrated for how good he was for Man City.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was there for 10 years. He was just that silk that tied it all together.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, he's an elite player.
Compared to everyone else, we've got a list here, and
Don't give the game away to
how does he? Yeah, how with all the players we've got coming up, I think he's in between these two, elite and great.
I think we can move them around. I think for me, I mean, everyone on this list is an elite player.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think he gets a bit underrated when you think of there's that group of midfielders. We'll come on to them: Lampard, Scholes, Gerrard, De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Fabregas isn't even on this list. He couldn't make it.
Yeah.
There are some midfielders here that he probably gets forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we can move him around. I would put him in elite to begin with, and then we'll see where he ends up.
Okay. Right, we'll put him in the league. Let's start him off on there. Okay, Ashley Cole.
This is.
I wouldn't say he's just about made it, but and in reality, he's probably in terms of position like the best. He's probably the best left back there is, really, isn't he? But
I think he's undoubtedly the best left back in Premier League history.
It's just that, without a disrespect to fullbacks, he's a left back, and compared to what the list could be, we want to share this out, don't we? Really, and I think
if you're thinking all time 11s, he's the left back.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's difficult to not have him as an elite player.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But yeah,
again, we can move it round if need be. But
straight away,
at the end of the day, if you're the greatest in a position in the Premier League,
you're in the conversation for the greatest left back ever, with Maldini, with Carlos. I think
he's slightly, for me, a little bit low below them names, but I think in terms of Premier League, the Premier League's not exactly been blessed with loads and loads of great left backs like that. Like everyone you mentioned, there's outside of it.
Yeah.
So I think, I think maybe I agree. Like, do you reckon elite? He's got to be, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure Chelsea fans would argue he could go in the top 5. I get that argument, but remembering who's coming next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think elite does it.
Yeah, there's no way he's top 5 for me. No chance. But elite, then yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Dennis Bergkamp.
Okay.
One of the most graceful players, I think, that's ever been in the Premier League. Obviously, a little bit of bias there.
Yeah, yeah, I hate him. No, he was unbelievable. But the thing is, of the list we've got coming up, I think, you could say that about a lot of people, and I don't see, again. I think we're going to have a packed elite section, because I think I don't think he's in the top 5 for me. Well, at the minute, I don't know who actually would be my top 5. I think we're going to have to put the people we think, as we go along, the people that we know will be there, and then see who's left. But for me, I'd say he probably goes in with David Silva and Ashley Cole.
Yeah, I think so. I love him. I think it'd be harsh for him to be a great behind those two. I think in terms of impact on when he come in, I think in '96 he came in. I think he was one of the biggest game changers that Arsenal had. I think everyone thinks of obviously Henry, Vieira, Sol Campbell in that era, but just before that, Bergkamp come in and kind of changed the game. I think Henri has said he was his favourite teammate ever, considering he played with
Yeah, yeah,
Messi. That says how good he was. A little
yeah,
bit before our time to really watch him play. I mean, yeah, I think at the moment he goes into elite,
yeah,
but but no higher than that. With all respect to him,
yeah.
the non-flying Dutchman.
Yeah. Right, let's put him in elite. The elite section's getting pretty packed out. David Beckham.
What do you think? I mean, this one,
Um,
in terms of if this was iconic players, he's near
he's
the top.
right up there, but
But a lot of that, I think, his kind of celebrity, being that first megastar celebrity footballer, kind of before Ronaldo's time. I
yeah,
think he's that guy now. Beckham, it's almost like his again a little bit before
pushes him up a
my
tad.
time.
You think?
I feel like his celebrity status almost outshines his footballing career,
Yeah,
which does his footballing career an injustice, I think.
yeah, because I think people forget how good David Beckham was at football. Um, it sounds harsh for me, but I would probably, I don't know, I'd maybe put him in the great.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a harsh thing to say at the minute, but I think he he was a great player. But I think elite with some of the names that we've put in there so far.
but was he a
y-
better
You know,
footballer than David Silva?
no, that's what
I
I mean.
don't
Or
think.
Bergkamp, and you've got the best left back in the Premier League there. I just don't. Uh, I don't think he quite makes it into the elite. For me, I'd put him in
I
great
think
personally.
I think it's a tough one. I think his contribution in the '99 treble was like unbelievable, and that iconic cross and the free kicks, no one's done it better than him.
Yeah,
But as a footballer, yeah, we've got to agree on this, right? We've got to. Someone's got to go in the great.
and we
So
can move him if need be.
yeah, is it going to be a hot topic of debate? But let's put him in great.
Great, yeah. Okay, we put him in there.
Of course, he's a Premier League great.
Bex goes in there. So
Right,
Frank
Frank
Lampard.
Lampard. This is the first one on this list so far that goes right. Is he in the top five?
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, scoring what is it, 177 goals
Yeah,
from midfield, I think.
fourth in the all-time list, and the
That's
only midfielder.
unbelievable. I think Frank Lampard, for me personally, I think he's pretty underrated for how good he actually was. I think people know, obviously, people will say how good Frank Lampard was, but I don't think he's always rated by everyone for actually how good of a player he was.
No, yeah,
And
yeah.
like for me, he potentially goes in that top five conversation.
I think I'm happy to put him in top five here because he's. If you had to rank the five we've done so far, he ranks higher than them. He's
Yeah,
he could do everything, and I'm not a Chelsea fan by any means, but you have to respect how long he did it for, how he was just the best,
yeah,
and there's a reason he's in that debate of those iconic three midfielders,
yeah.
um, and there's an argument that he's the best midfielder the Premier League's ever seen. There's an argument. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but he's in
Yeah,
that
it's
conversation.
always the kind of Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes debate, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I've
yeah,
always kind of,
and he's won it
obviously we'll
all.
get that to that later, but I've always preferred him out of the three, personally. I've always really
Yeah,
just about, I don't know, like, I, I don't know, yeah, for me, he goes in the top five, I think,
yeah. I think he has to go in top five, and I think
for now, unless he
for
gets
n-
demoted.
for now, for now, of who we've done so far, he's definitely a cut above the rest.
I think he goes, yeah, in there for now.
Whether that changes later with for these players, I don't.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah,
So,
Frank Lampard.
Didier Drogba. I've got strong opinions on Didier Drogba.
Let's hear him.
So, I think in terms of important goals, unbelievable. But his actual goal to game ratio and just the numbers he put up, if you look at them, it ain't that special, I don't think. I don't think he's compared to some of the other strikers we're going to come across on this list, and in a bloody good Chelsea team as well.
Yeah,
I I don't know. For me, he just doesn't. I would say it just about made it. I don't know if that sounds harsh or not, but I just think compared to other people we're going to come across, he don't get me wrong, he is one of the best strikers in the Premier League, or he wouldn't be on this list. But he is on that bottom tier of
I think
like the strikers who I think we're going to have available. For me, with
I think
just
of
you
this
know,
group of players, next up is Shearer. We'll come on to him, but
yeah,
I would say it's harsh, but there's if anyone had to if I had to pick someone on this list who had to drop off, it would be Drogba for me. I don't think he's a better striker than Shearer. I
no,
don't think he's a better striker than Harry Kane.
no,
Um, I don't think he's a better striker than Wayne Rooney.
no,
And
no. I don't think he is.
these, and don't get me wrong, everyone on this list is a Premier League great and deserves to be here. But if someone has to drop, it's him more than anyone else.
Yeah, I think
Big
so.
game
I
moments,
was going
yeah,
to say massive
big
big
game
game player,
moments,
but
but all
that
round
I think
general
that kind
play,
of glorifies how good he was, like how people just
yeah.
overrate him because of how many important goals he scored. And I
But
think, yeah, it's a
his
massive clutch side to him, but
to be fair,
actual doing it week in, week out, if you look at the numbers, he did it to an extent, but not compared to everyone else on this
yeah,
list
there
who's
are
a striker.
better goal to game ratios. Big moments that that goal in the Champions League against Bayern,
Yeah,
last
yeah,
minute header. There's no one better for big moments. But and the connection he had with Lampard was
yeah.
unbelievable. But yeah, he's just about made it.
I just think he should have got more, like, better numbers for the players that he had round him, and that might sound a bit harsh, but I don't know. For me, he goes just about made it,
Someone has
and
to
he's
go
not
there.
he's, as well. He's not exactly like he held his hold up playing strength was like an aerial presence was unreal,
No one
but
ever
he
seen
also
anything like
he's
it,
not
have they?
exactly like a great. He wasn't like a phenomenal dribbler on the ball. He didn't chip in with like loads of assists and kind of he's not like he excelled in passing. Like so, as for me, he goes in there.
Yeah, someone has to go there, don't they?
I think Shearer for me goes straight in the top five. I
Do you
think you
think?
can't, for me, you can, I know that like people will say, I think a lot of people want to put in the top five people who are like technically like can dribble and are like the exciting players to watch. But I think for the top scorer ever in Newcastle and Blackburn's I know Blackburn won the league, but the team he was playing in and the goals he scored, it- there's there's no way he's not in the top five for me. The top Premier League top scorer, and just being a number nine, he's the best at it on this list.
Yeah, in terms of the hardest thing in football is putting the ball in the net, right? And he's done it more than anyone else. At, with all respect, Newcastle and Blackburn. Obviously, that Blackburn team were great, but he never played for Man United or Arsenal, in those days, or any of the big teams. I don't know. For me, if he gets in the top five, I'm happy to put him there for now. I
Yeah.
think he's going to get kicked out though.
Oh, really?
I think he's an elite. I think he goes into elite straight away. You can't not be. But top five
I'm backing you,
Premier League.
Geordie fans. Literally, I just think there's no. I don't know. For me, it's like the Premier League putting the Premier League top scorer ever outside the top five seems wrong to
I
me, but I don't know.
I think there's. I don't know. We've already got Lampard there. I can think of at least four more who can make up that top five, and that's not even including the goat. I don't know. I'm happy to put him there for now, but I don't think he's going to finish there.
We'll see who comes up. We'll put
But
him there for
yeah,
now.
I think he weirdly he gets a. This is going to sound ridiculous, but he gets a bit underrated because of like, oh, he's just a goal scorer because he wasn't that flair player. He wasn't that dribbler like Aguero would do. He hasn't,
That's what I mean, though. Like because he's not like
but
that
but
dribbler,
he
and
is
he's just
so
like
far ahead of
he's not
everybody
Alan
else.
Sheardino or something. And like,
Yeah,
he's not top five. Whereas for me, he's just you, how good of a goal scorer he was with the players that he had round him. then he has to go in that top five.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just ahead of the rest. He is so far ahead.
Yeah,
I don't know when he's going to get caught up. I don't know if Haaland will if he sticks around. It's
no,
just okay for now. He's there. I don't think he's going to stay there though.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't. I think it'll be somewhere else. I think eventually. Um,
Right,
Eden
Eden
Hazard.
Hazard. Now, as a player, I love Eden Hazard. I
Yeah,
hated it when he come on. He was that player at Chelsea that you know, Lampard, Drogba, Terry, and we knew how good they are. Petr Cech was unstoppable or unbeatable, but Hazard was that player that just struck fear into you. If he wasn't starting, as if he was coming on, you knew that he's going to change the game. As soon as the ball goes to him, he will just flip it in an instant, create something, score a goal, get a player sent off with his trickery. He was just unstoppable. I think there were moments in that kind of 2015, 2016 era. When did they win the league? 2017? Around those 3 years, there was a time where he was the best winger in the world. I say that with the caveat of Messi and Ronaldo's era. But
yeah,
I think his level of dribbling could only be matched by Messi at that time. I think he was that good.
yeah. I agree with his dribbling side of it, and he was still scoring goals. I'd say I don't know how many assists he kind of racked up and things, but I know his general like passing it was okay. That's probably where he kind of like wouldn't come as close. I don't think that's probably where I'd say he lacked a little bit more. Was kind of I know I might be wrong there, but I know he excelled in his dribbling. He scored goals. Don't know how many kind of assists he got racked up all
I
the time,
don't.
but and like just even without the statistics of assists, just his actual general passing and link up play,
I think,
short passing. I think he was quite good at like nipping around short passes,
yeah,
dribble, and just cause havoc. Um, Probably not his long passing as much, but where do we put him? I mean, on his day, I think the thing that lacked for him was how long he did it for. Longevity, I'd say.
yeah.
If it was longevity, if he could keep that level up that he got to for that long, he'd be
I
looking
think
at
he'll be
top
pushing
five.
top five. I think,
But I think
yeah.
I don't think he did it
And he also
long
had that
enough.
season where he people say down tools or whatever, but you know,
Yeah, he was
the
useless,
the
wasn't he,
best of the best
really?
players don't do that. I
No.
think if you're critical, he could have scored more goals, but his as a creative force, he was just next level. There was a time, and I don't think so much now with what Salah's been doing. We'll come on to Salah. It was who's better, Salah or Hazard? And at the time, I was a big advocate for Hazard. I think Salah's kind of taken it further than anyone expected.
Yeah, yeah.
But back in that era, on his day, he was just like a joy to watch. Like as aesthetically on the eye, you couldn't ask for a more like, beautiful player to watch play.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, even though he did it against Arsenal so much.
I know, he
I
done it
mean,
against us as well.
oh, when you look at that list already, David Silva, Ashley Cole, Bergkamp.
I think if David Silva's in the elite and Ashley Cole, I think that'd be criminal not putting Hazard in the elite. I
Yeah,
don't think he makes top five for me, but I think
no, he
elite's a
doesn't make
fair
top
place to
five. I
put him,
think
I
he
think.
goes elite for now. I feel so sorry for David Beckham.
Yeah, I know, he's freaking pretty lonely down there, isn't he?
Yeah,
Um,
right.
Cantona.
Cantona. This is a tough one because there will be plenty of people saying he needs to be in the top five for his impact and his just how good he was,
Yeah,
the attitude he had, and he could back it up. And
yeah,
he come over to Man United, brought the league with him, won he was there with that '92 team, um, and he was just unbelievable.
yeah.
And the arrogance he had, obviously that infamous moment where he booted the fan,
Yeah,
but
pantomime villain.
yeah, but he brought the league with him. They won it so many times, and that year he was banned was the year they didn't win it. That kind of says how
Yeah,
good he
I
was.
think we Premier League misses characters like Cantona, I think, as well. There's no one kind of like with that sort of same. arrogance, but like can back it up. You miss some of them players now. Now you've got like players like Mopay trying to do it like all
Yeah,
arrogant, but he's just shit. You know what I mean? Like whereas you need people who can like kind of back that up as well.
I think
And
there's no way he can't go into elite
yeah,
for me.
for me, I think we chuck him in the elite with Cantona. I think.
And again, harsh that he's not in top five, but I just think there are a few better players,
Yeah, no, I agree.
unfortunately.
And I think I think one of them's got to be him, innit?
Cristiano Ronaldo,
It's got to be this man. I mean, I know his best days were in Madrid, but
Ballon d'Or
it
2008.
seems, yeah, it seems that I can't put one of in my opinion, the second greatest player ever.
Yeah,
I think whatever side of the debate you sit on, there's no that would be criminal putting him in the elite. I just wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know how you
no,
feel, but
I agree. I think when I was growing up and really started getting into football, it was all about Ronaldo for me. I remember, when he come in and he was just that young kid full of tricks. Everyone wanted to be him. I was obsessed about learning how to like hit a knuckleball because of
yeah,
him. And he won the Ballon d'Or that season in 2008 was just the most ridiculous season I've ever seen from a footballer.
I've never seen someone come in with, in terms of confidence in himself. I've never seen a player who's had more
Yeah, his
confidence in
debut.
himself
You seen his
ever.
debut?
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was against, but he absolutely stole the show at
yeah.
18. And yeah,
When he had like, I remember when they came in with like his braces and his noodle hair and like kind of like a
yeah.
Vodafone shirt on. Like, oh, he's just
But
yeah,
he ended his career at Man United, and we like, they knew you can't keep hold of him. A player that good always ends up at Madrid or Barca, especially in that era. He was just a monster. I said about Hazard, worried about Hazard's impact. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the best players the Premier League has ever seen,
yeah,
and like
undoubtedly.
everyone knows this by now. It's not even up for debate.
And
I
he just
think,
could do everything, like he could score headers, his finishes, he could put a cross in, his skill moves like pace,
free kicks in that
just
era
free
back in
kicks,
the Premier
like
League as well.
just everything.
He
He
had
could
everything.
just
He was, and I still think to this day, the most complete player the world has ever seen.
yeah, and how he went up another level was a joke, really. Like I think he did go up another level, which I don't think many people thought he could going into Real Madrid,
No,
and like that just shows how good he was being in the top five of this list and then going on to another level. If he stayed at Man United, there's no doubt that he would be the Premier League GOAT in my
oh yeah,
opinion. You
hundred
know what I mean?
percent.
He would be undoubtedly the GOAT.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think he goes in
straight
the
in
top
top
five.
five. Yeah, I obviously there's an argument that he's the goat.
Yeah.
I think longevity wise, there's a couple of others on here that just beat him to it.
Yeah, I think
But
yeah,
and I think if he
agree.
stayed even if another couple of years, another couple of titles,
Yeah,
he would
yeah,
be. But he was only here for what, 6 seasons, 7 seasons?
yeah. I don't know what it was. Was it even that long?
I think it was
Was it
7.
that 7? I
But which
thought it was
is,
shorter than that.
in that time, to be in the top five players of all time is ludicrous.
Yeah,
Look at who's there at the moment. Lampard had been in the Premier League for how long? Shearer was in the Premier League for how long?
yeah, yeah,
Ronaldo in 6 seasons is arguably the best ever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no debate.
Right. The man who went and joined him at Real Madrid, Gareth Bale. So
I'll let you take
I
the
think,
floor.
yeah, I was going to say I've got a lot of things to say about Bale, being a Spurs fan, and he is, I think, with the man next to him on the list, the two greatest players I've seen in my lifetime for Spurs. And I think Bale just, I mean, in terms of individual season, yeah, there's a lot of arguments you could make, but I think that season, I think it was 2012 to 13 season, and he's in that kit that he's in that picture with. He was just winning games on his own. Like he genuinely, when people were calling us a one man team, it was true. He literally,
Yeah,
we
it
were,
was
he literally was winning games single handedly.
it
Like
was just a
he
force
just
of nature, wasn't
well,
he?
when he was in that form, he had that season and the season before, I mean, the 11-12 season, and he just he just was ridiculous. He's absolute, and just the speed and dribbling. and just pure finishing, like similar, obviously not at the same quite level of Ronaldo, but a lot of similar traits of he's good in the air, good at free kicks, good at
Yeah.
finishing. There was a lot of similarities there, and he just. Yeah, he's just the way the confident. He just oozed class and just confidence. Like,
Yeah, he was just like the epitome of pace and power.
yeah,
He was. I'll never forget watching him against. And I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't really care about Spurs one way or the other. But
game
like
against Maicon in the
that game
Champions
against
League.
Maicon,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember Maicon was just he was that right back. He was like the world's
He was the
best,
world's best at that time
and
in that
he got
position.
torn apart.
He looked like a little kid out
And
there.
then
Like,
he took it into, and then they moved him up to left wing, and because he started as left back, didn't he?
yeah, he started left back, and then kind of I think that was more or less one of his first from memory. I might get like absolutely outed in the comments for that. But, like, I think I'm pretty sure that was one of his definitely first seasons or maybe even one of his first games at left mid. Like it wasn't very long after that he got
Yeah,
bumped up to left midfield, and he did that, and it was
he was
just
just so
against the
good.
best right back at that
I
time in
think,
Maicon.
yeah, that season, I remember never forget a goal against. There's a couple. One against I think West Ham. He kind of got fouled, got up, knocked it to the side, and just buried a knuckleball in the top corner. And then one, I
Yeah,
think the last day of the season to I think get you Champions League football, or it was
he scored a
just
couple
last.
against. He scored two mirror image goals against. I think it was one of them was Southampton, and the other one was I can't remember who the other one was now. But it was like two. Like in that last season that he played for us, he literally scored these two goals that were just mirror image, and they were like goal of the season contenders. And that's what I
Yeah,
think I forgot to mention earlier. He literally was whipping out every time he scored. It was like a goal
it
of the
was a
month
banger.
goal.
Yeah,
I'm
he did.
surprised he didn't win goal of the month every month in that
He
season.
got them the normal goals, but he scored some screamers, and it was just
It's just the long shots that he was taking were just outrageous, but they were
so
all going
accurate.
in.
Yeah,
All of
it
them,
was
like all of them, were
ridiculous.
going in top bins every time.
And look what he went on to do. Like, I know this is Premier League, but with the Champions League
That
and
bicycle
that
kick in the
goal,
final, like I'm sorry, that's
that's
better than
the
everyone says about Ronaldo against Juve's over a kick. You cannot say that that is
no,
better than
it's the
Bale's against
occasion.
Liverpool in the Champions League final, and the
I think
technique is a
I
joke.
think Bale has to go in elite.
Yeah,
I don't think he's in the top
no, I
five,
don't think he's top five, but
which
he's
says in the
definitely,
stand. And
definitely
again,
elite.
longevity. Like he when he started his career, he wasn't at that level in the Prem.
Oh, I'm
He
starting to look at this list, looking at Shearer above some of these other players and
Yeah, I see.
thinking,
I told you. I
oh,
told you.
I don't
I've got a
know.
feeling David Silva's going to have to drop, but we'll see. Right,
Yeah, I don't know.
Harry Kane. I'll start with Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Just about made it. No, I think with him, he I think he's underrated. I think there's the big joke that everyone makes, and me included, as an Arsenal fan, that the Harry Kane curse, and that he's never won a trophy. He's been unlucky. I think there's been moments where he could have stepped up. There's been a couple of times where I think actually you could have done a bit more, but
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
very rare. And let's be fair, with all respect to him, he's been doing it in a Tottenham team. He's the second highest Premier League goal scorer of all time with Tottenham.
Yeah, and like, I know obviously under Pochettino we had our good years and like, well, in recent time, better years. Um, but there's a lot of seasons there that we were finishing sixth, seventh, eighth, and he was still winning golden boots, which is
Yeah,
just
it's
outrageous. And it's a
insane.
similar argument to Shearer, I guess I'd give with like the players he had round him in some of these Spurs teams that I've had to painfully watch. Um, compared to the service, say like Didier Drogba would be getting rid of. You see Frank Lampard sitting in the top five there. He played with Hazard. He played with Ashley Cole. All these players on these list and that.
Mm.
And Kane's outscored Drogba how many seasons? Probably would have like
Yeah,
into and Kane would just I think people forget like Bale like I know for like say like recent times with Bayern he's scored quite a few pens and things but at the end of the day he's got to take them and I think people forget how many good goals Kane scored as well like how many long shots he scored for us and how many just outrageous finishes
he's another one who could do it
he
all, couldn't he?
yeah and I think again, maybe also because he's not that type of Bale, Hazard, Bergkamp of like dribbling and flair, and he is more of an out and out, more like Shearer, I guess. I think I think players like that do get a little bit underrated. And I tell you what, like one thing that I could put him up against a lot of people in this list, like not as the best, obviously, but he would get really high up even as a centre forward, is his passing ability.
Yeah,
His passing ability is unbelievable.
he could play
Um,
as an attacking midfielder, I
he
think,
easily,
easily.
100%. He's not got the and if this guy was best blessed with pace, he would add probably another 10 goals a season to his game.
Yeah.
He's just that good at finishing.
Is he a better
But
footballer than Shearer?
I think he's a better footballer than Shearer. But I think it's hard to say that for me, as much as I love Harry Kane, I don't think I can put him in the top five. I think
He's not going to. He
I don't
can't go
think
in the
he
top five. I
can't.
don't
If
think.
I know Shearer's there, but I just at the end of the day, I think Kane, if he didn't move to Bayern, I think he has Shearer's record. But I don't. But at the end of the day, he did go to Bayern, and I don't think so. He's not the Premier League top scorer, and he hasn't won anything, and it's.
I think.
I think he's an elite striker. That's a fair place to put him.
I think he's an elite striker, but I think we're going to struggle with spaces. And this is a. We're not going to agree, but I think he has to go in great,
Really,
but only because. And that's no dig on him, but look at what's there. Every one of those players there, other than Bale, but I would say Bale at his peak was a better player than Kane. Have all won Premier Leagues.
it's really hard for me because I kind of like if someone asked me pick Bale or Kane, I think I get what you're saying about individual season. I'd pick Bale, but overall for Spurs, I'd probably say Kane, and
But
that's a
it's
really hard. It's
but
very
then
hard,
there's a
but
reason. There's also, I'm just playing devil's advocate. There's a reason Real Madrid come in for Bale at his best, but realistically, when Harry Kane was at his absolute best, did anyone go in for him?
Man City, but we
Yeah,
rejected
yeah,
it.
I
You know what I
suppose.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
they did come in for him, but
the
Levy was
Real
Levy, and I think
Real Madrid though.
he, yeah, I do get it.
I get both sides of it. I'm happy for him to go in elite. I just think we've only got Beckham sitting there.
I think there's a few players coming up that I would say going great personally.
Yeah.
I know what's coming up, and I think they don't go in the elite. I would
Let's
say
put
if
him in elite for now, but I think just have an open mind
I
once we
think
do the next ones.
yeah, no, 100%. I think he does go in the elite. I think it'd be very harsh. At times he's with us, and now with Bayern, he's regarded as one of or the best number 9 in the world at the minute. And I
Yeah.
think that for me, he can't go lower than elite. But there may be a
It's
Tottenham bias. I
tough.
don't know.
Yeah, I get both arguments. I think it'd be hard for him to drop, but this is what I mean. Kevin De Bruyne,
Yeah, because De Bruyne for me, I think he's not top five. He's not great. He goes in the league.
he goes in the league, but for me, and this is the difficulty here.
Yeah,
He is. I know they're different players, but Kevin De Bruyne is a better player than Harry Kane, in my opinion.
yeah. I think, and this is the thing about different players, because I think I look at that list and I think realistically, if Ashley Cole's in there, I know he's the best left back, and it's hard to rule him out. And the same with Hazard.
Yeah,
With yes, his dribbling was unbelievable and he's exciting to watch, but was he like? And yes, he's in luckily enough to be in teams that won things, but is he that much different? I mean, for me, De Bruyne definitely goes
I
in
think there's no debate with De Bruyne. I
elite.
think he's. I think this is his last season at Man City. Obviously, he's had his injuries, but in his prime, he is in the conversation with Scholes, Gerrard, and Lampard. I think he is. No one's ever got close to those three in terms of kind of an attacking that kind of midfielder.
Yeah,
And he's the only other player with one really to get 20 assists, and he's won multiple Premier Leagues. And he in this era of Man City dominance, if you had to pick one player who's been their best player, I think it's De Bruyne for me.
yeah.
I think he has to be elite.
I think
And
he's better than David Silva. I
yeah, I
think
think some players are going
so.
to drop down
And
here. But
yeah,
um, right, who's next?
John
John
Terry.
Terry
So
again.
yeah,
Just remember that everyone on this list is an all-time great.
they're all elite players, but we had to kind of separate it a bit. Um,
Now,
I
as an
think
argument, he's the best defender the Premier League's ever seen. let's get that out of the way. Let's just. There's no argument there.
Yeah,
There's no way we can't
I
say
think
that.
I think he could be one of the best. I think he's definitely one of the best captains the Premier League's ever seen as
100%
well.
longevity, tenacity, like defending. I think what's quite underrated with him is his ball playing ability. The only thing, if you had to be critical about him, which isn't really his fault, is that he didn't have much pace compared to some defenders. You can't really criticize a player for that.
Yeah,
This is maybe his only weakness, but reading the game, marshalling the defense, that part of that defense that conceded 15 goals for a reason is is down to him.
yeah.
Again, how can we put
I think again he's not top five. He's not. He's. I think he does go in the elite. I think
I
he's
think he
such a
does.
solid centre back.
I think
A bit of a prick, but
can't
he's
judge him for that.
yeah he
Can't deny how good he was.
yeah
And for so long as well. Like through multiple Chelsea teams, he was captain when they won it for like in 2004, sorry, 2005, and then again in was it 2015 they won it. So to be that play at the top level and oversee
yeah
Champions League wins as well, yeah, elite defender.
yeah.
Right, Kyle Walker.
I think this is where, for me, he goes in great. I
Yeah,
don't think. I think for me, he's better. This is a real debate. I think it's a big debate between him and Gary Neville as it being the best right back in Premier
yeah,
League.
I think
But
so.
I think if people take the nostalgia out of it and you're being honest, I think you would have Kyle Walker in your
Yeah,
team.
for
Some
longevity.
people might not agree with that, but I think in terms of just, you know, power and pace and just, probably Gary Neville was a better defender overall, but I think Walker, like, especially I can speak a little bit from his time at Tottenham, I think he always had the attributes, power and pace, but he maybe had lapses of concentration with us. But I think when he went to Man City, he kind of
I think he
matured
evolved
and he
and
got, he he got a little bit older, matured a bit, and I think that he learnt to cut that out, and his defending massively improved.
yeah. But having said that, I think he has to go in great.
Yeah,
Let's
I
we
think
can't
he
have
does.
everyone in elite.
No, he doesn't. He's not elite for me. I think he is a great player, a great right back, but I don't
Um,
think he's elite.
okay, Ryan Giggs.
Ryan Giggs for me.
And in terms of again, a bit before my time, I must say that he played for so long. I can't remember when he hung his boots up, but he played for so long. It's hard to say missed his prime. But I think in the 90s, I think that's where we're gonna not remember him as much. I I think he was part of that great Man United team, part of the treble team, part of how many I think he's won 13 Premier Leagues.
Yeah,
But as a footballer, and Man United fans will come and tell me off for this, but is he a better footballer than as a winger than Eden Hazard? I don't know.
yeah.
Is he a better footballer than David Beckham? I don't know. Is he,
I think
obviously not
that's
Cristiano Ronaldo,
yeah.
but
I mean, I think it's hard because I think Ryan Giggs is.
I think he get tarnished
I
by
think
his
he.
personal life as well.
I think he get yeah, and I think to be honest, I think in a lot of these football tier list videos, he gets underrated, and I'm scared about doing it again. Like
No,
where I think he does get in a lot of these videos and conversations. I think he gets very underrated and like not disrespected, but like
he's the
for
highest.
how good he was and how reliable he was. And I think you know there wasn't. I don't know. I just think again, like yeah, a bit before our time maybe, but
He's
he
got the most assists in Premier League history, but
that has to be looked at, like,
he
and it's
played
by
so
some
long.
number. But yeah, I
But
know
there's a
that.
reason he played so long, because of how good
Yeah,
he was.
exactly.
But I
Yeah,
think if I haven't looked at all of his stats, but did he ever have a standout season like some of these players on this list? I think he
yeah,
was. I think he was always like an 8 out of 10 constantly. But
yeah.
did he ever peak and he was the absolute game changer that some of these players were? I
Yeah,
think
I
this is
guess so.
really harsh, but I think he goes in great for me.
I'm happy to put him there. Like, I feel bad putting him there,
I
but I
mean,
think
we could easily
we've got
swap
to be
him
a
and
bit
David
harsh,
Silva
haven't
if
we,
we have
really?
to be. Be honest with it.
I just think that the thing is that I think David Silva's a better footballer than Ryan Giggs. I think that might sound a bit. That's
No,
going
I
to
agree.
piss
I
a lot of
agree.
Man United fans off because of Man City as well. But I think I don't know. Like, there's not a lot in it. I think if you're talking about it right now, I think he's the best in that great section, Ryan Giggs, and I think David Silva, and I will say Kane as well. I think they're the two that are, yeah, at the bottom
I
of the
think they're
elite, probably
in
going
danger of
in
dropping.
danger of dropping potentially.
Okay. Right.
Patrick
We'll
Vieira.
start rattling through these.
Um,
Patrick, I think he has to go in elite. I think he's, there's an argument for him being the one of the best midfielders the Premier League's seen. Obviously, he's different to the attacking ones.
do you reckon he has to go in elite?
Yeah. I think if Kane's in there, with all respect, I
Oh, I
think
know.
he captained Arsenal at time. He was an immense part of the Invincible season. He was, we think of, and we'll come on to him, I think, but Roy Keane and being the one of the greatest captains we've seen, but one of the best centre midfielders we've seen. Vieira was the only one who really stood up to him and gave him a go. And in terms of a dominant midfield, if you build a 4-4-2 at 11 in the Premier League of a balanced team, you have
Mm.
one holding midfielder, or not even holding, but more of a box to box and an attacking midfielder. It's Patrick Vieira for me.
Yeah,
I
no, I guess so. I
I
think,
struggle to put him in great.
yeah, maybe I'm being a bit harsh there. I think, yeah, no, he was an absolute monster. The only thing I think, I don't know where Roy Keane's going to pop up in a minute, but the only real reason, but I do think they're going to be for me slightly. This is going to sound harsh, but I think I don't know. No, I'm not going to say it yet because we've got to come on to Roy Keane. But
Okay,
okay, we'll put Vieira in elite for
shall we
now.
start? Shall we just be a bit brutal and just David Silva drop down to great for now to make a bit of room?
We can do, yeah. You can, yeah. I think so. I think
Okay,
out of them at the moment, I
I
think
think
he goes
yeah.
into great.
Okay, and
So
look, obviously we've got top five there. With now the GOAT is number one. Top five needs to only have the four remaining of the top five.
yeah,
So we've got one more space
one more
for
space for
top
top
five.
five.
Um, and then after that we have to start shuffling things around. Who's next? Thierry Henry.
Thierry
speaking
Henry.
speaking
So
of the
yeah,
GOAT. Now for me, I know I'm biased. I still maintain that he's the best player the Premier League's ever seen. So for me, he goes in as the GOAT.
yeah. I
I
even as a
think
Spurs fan, I've got to
I think
agree. I
now
think
I
he
think
is the best
he
on this
he
list
spearheaded the
for
Invincible
Premier League.
season for the Premier League.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
Premier League, he's the best
Premier
on this
League.
list.
I think he's won everything there is to win in football. He was, similar to Ronaldo. We know what he went on to do, um, but he was just the iconic Premier League footballer. He was the first in the Hall of Fame with Shearer for a reason. You kind of had the highest goal scorer and then the best player, in
Yeah,
my opinion. I think to this day, and look at some of the forwards we've spoken about and some we haven't spoken about yet,
yeah,
it's still Henri. I think amongst his peers, they rate him as the best ever. You speak to defenders, they all say, "I
yeah,
fear no one except Thierry Henry."
yeah,
His
yeah,
pace, his finishing, and he started out as a winger, and the way he got kind of morphed into a striker that could just do it all. He scored all sorts of goals. That goal against Man United where he flicked it up,
yeah. I know it's
and
iconic, isn't
there's
it?
goals where he just run through the whole team.
He's got that iconic long sleeves, black gloves,
Yeah, I
yellow
think
football. You know
now,
what I mean?
I
High
think at
vis
the
ball.
moment, I think there's a chance that there's a player on this list who could maybe beat him one day as a goat, in my opinion. But for me, I think he's the goat.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought we just about made it. No, just we'll put him straight in the goat.
I
I think
think
he
I
is
think
the
he
goat.
has to be there. Right.
Yeah,
Now,
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah.
So I
What do
think
you think?
that he is in the top five for me, and I think that the way he's doing it this season, top scorer, top assister, and just absolutely killing it. I think if he would have, I think, had a chance at going into the GOAT, and that sounds crazy. I know that people kind of, almost like, no, it's Henri, and it is Henri. But I think if Salah did it, if he had good days at Chelsea, and I think, like, he'd done it that little bit. I don't know, because I don't know how long actually in terms of games. Really, he might have even. I don't know how many games he's played compared to Henri, but I think he. I don't think he's Henri's level,
I think,
but I think he, for me, is the in the top five.
I
I
think,
think he's absolutely brilliant. Like, he's such a good player, and he's just got, again, a bit of everything. I don't like him sometimes. The Tottenham fans, he's caused us so much pain over the years, especially in the Champions League final when he scored that
yeah,
penalty. That is heartbreaking. But I think he just he's one of them. I just, like, when he's playing against, I just fear him. I just,
yeah,
he's just scary when he's against you.
I,
He's so good and
I,
such a good finisher for someone. I know I don't really buy the whole he's a winger as well. He's up there, because I do think he's always Liverpool's furthest forward. He is probably more of like some sort of false nine or something. Like, he is the furthest forward for him. So, but at the end of the day, he isn't not a traditional number 9, and his finishing ability is just, like, ridiculous. I think he's a joke.
think he's so efficient. I think he's definitely in the top five. We put him in the top five,
Yeah, I think
and
he goes straight in.
he goes straight in. And I'm an Arsenal fan. I've just kind of spoken about Henri passionately, but I admit that if someone's going to do it, it's going to be Salah. If he signs a contract and he stays for another 2 or 3 seasons, and he's ahead of Henri on goals. He can, if he wins the Prem, I think he equals his titles. He's I just think he's in that debate now. I think he's
Yeah,
absolutely in the top five, and I think Shearer's in trouble here because of Salah. And I think if there's anyone, other than De Bruyne, he's the only other player playing in the Premier League at the moment who can get near Henri, and I think he can. I think he can do it. I think I think he's ahead of Ronaldo for me personally.
in terms of Premier League,
Premier,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, of course,
definitely.
Premier
Yeah,
League. Um, but I think, and you can't. I know you've got as a Spurs fan, and he scores you heartbreak in the big moments. But
yeah,
he's
yeah,
another one of those players that when he's playing against Arsenal, you can't deny him. It doesn't matter who he plays against, he finds a way.
yeah.
So yeah,
Always.
he's in top five.
He is the fantasy football dream as well.
He is. Right, Petr Cech,
Petr. So, first goalkeeper.
first goalkeeper.
Um,
Arguably the best goalkeeper the Prem seen. There's no
I
argument.
think along with the man a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's the argument, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's, in terms of my time of watching, is probably the best I've seen in goal. I think. I don't think there's
He
been many better people
he
I've
was
seen in
just
the sticks than Petr
unstoppable.
Cech. I think, especially in his prime, I think there was games when he was in the sticks that you just thought, how the hell are we ever going to
We're not
score?
going to beat
I
him.
mean,
Yeah,
the Chelsea had such a, John Terry, and, like, the defence they had with, they've had that season with Mourinho, they had conceded 15 goals,
yeah,
like, best defensive record ever. And then when you get past that defence, you've got Petr Cech in the stick. That's just
yeah,
ridiculous, like, it's for me, it's a hard one, because, how do you compare a goalkeeper to an outsider? All these players, and that's why I think really Ballon d'Or should always have a different category. I
yeah.
think it's unfair that keepers get shoved in with all these
They don't get the
players.
limelight, do they? Like a
No,
couple
they
of
don't.
players do.
And I think if you look back at some saves that keepers have made over the years, you look at, like, Martinez in the World Cup when Argentina won it.
Yeah,
I think,
it doesn't. It's
that
not in this.
save he made was arguably what could have won them the World Cup in that final.
Hmm,
And that's, I think, people forget those moments because it's such about, like, scoring the goals, the last
yeah,
minute winners. And I think, what about the last minute saves and the last minute,
yeah. The points he would have racked up, and most clean sheets in Premier League history as well. I think he has to go in the league.
I think he does.
There's no, I know it's hard to
You
compare
can't put him in great.
keepers. And,
It's the same logic of Ashley Cole. Like he's the greatest left back there. I
yeah,
know we're saying Walker might have been the greatest right back and we've shoved him down there, but I
but
think
there's still levels to it.
Ashley,
I think.
yeah, I think if we're in terms of Premier League status, Ashley Cole and Petr Cech is higher than Kyle Walker in my opinion. I
Yeah,
think
I
you
think so.
probably agree. So
Okay,
Paul Scholes.
Skulls, right? Not top five for me.
No, I
don't
don't
he
think so.
gets near
I
the
think
top five, unfortunately. So I've seen some lists where he's rated second in the, which is a bit crazy to me.
yeah, I think that's
Again,
crazy. I think he's
similar
an
to Giggs,
unbelievable
and just
midfielder,
being
but
in that Man United team,
yeah,
they dominated for so long, and he was so integral to that. But did he in terms of the top three with Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, and if you kind of forget De Bruyne for a second, for me, Scholes is number three. I don't think he's as impactful, which again, Man United fans would fucking tear me to pieces over that.
yeah,
But I don't. I think obviously his passing range and ability was second to none. He scored some great goals as well. He just kept them ticking over in a similar fashion to how Xavi would do it for Barcelona. But it's hard to say he's just great. It's hard to say he's
yeah.
not elite for me. But I
I
don't know what
think
you
he
think.
goes. I think he goes in the elite because I think we can't have Lampard sitting in the top five and shove him in great. Because I think for me personally, I did prefer Lampard slightly over Scholes, but not to the extent that I would put him another tier, like two tiers away from him. I think that's too much. I
Yeah,
think Paul Scholes, and no disrespect to Vieira, and I know that's a different midfielder, but in terms of a footballer, Paul Scholes is, I would say Paul Scholes is a better midfielder than Patrick Vieira, in my opinion. I know they're different midfielders, but I think if Vieira's in the elite for me, I think Scholes has to be in there
yeah, I'm happy to go for that.
personally.
Yeah, go for that.
So we put Scholes in the elite.
Right, Sergio Aguero.
Kun Aguero.
Um,
I
it's
think
hard,
he's
isn't
just
it?
another elite.
I
To be
think it's an
honest,
easy
I
elite,
think
to be
it's
honest.
yeah. I
No
think
debate.
he's not top five. He's not. If we've got, I think Shearer will drop down now that we can start seeing some other people. But
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think should I do that now anyway?
Yeah, just get
I think
ready.
yeah, just put Shearer. It's getting a bit crowded in there, but I think Shearer, yeah, come out of there because I think Shearer and you got the number nines here, haven't you? You got Shearer, you got Kane, you got Drogba, who down there at the minute, but I think you got Aguero, and I think he
I think he has to go
goes
in
in
elite,
amongst these
doesn't he?
guys. I think that he high up the goal scoring lists, consistently scoring City 20. He's a 20 plus goal a season striker.
Yeah.
He's
I
in
think
that
how many injuries he had as
Shearer,
well.
Kane, Aguero. They're in that classic number nine, 20 goal a
Yeah.
season
And
strikers.
admittedly he played in that great Man City team.
Yeah, yeah,
But he has so many injuries, and I think he's got the best goal to game ratio still.
potentially.
I think so. Yeah, I think no debate. They're elite.
Yeah, I think he has to go in there. Um,
Go then,
Kante.
Kante.
I think for me, he would. This sounds harsh because Kante, I think, is a brilliant midfielder, but we're talking about holding mids here as well. And I think we've got Vieira and we've got Keane coming up. And you could argue maybe, I mean, Gerrard, I'd say a bit more box to box, but again, he's
Yeah.
probably, he was unbelievable at defensive work. And I think Kante at one point was ridiculous in how he was winning the ball back. But I think he goes, if Drogba's in just about made it, I think he goes in there. I think Kante probably just about made it to
I
this
think, yeah,
list.
which is
I'm not, I know it sounds
unbelievably
harsh,
harsh. I
but
was
I
thinking the
think
same thing.
compared to all the other names on here, and I just think,
I think it wouldn't have been outrageous if if I look at this list and go, right, who have we not had in terms of midfielders? My first thought is Fabregas because of what he did with
yeah.
Arsenal and then come back and did with Chelsea.
And we had that,
And if
Luka Modric with
yeah,
Spurs.
if
I know he wasn't there as long, but
but there's no Perez in
he's
this
Luka
list.
Modric at the end of the day with,
There's
you
no
know,
Sol Campbell in this list. There's no
good.
but Would it have been outrageous to not have Kante and have Fabregas? I don't think so. So I think
No, it wouldn't be.
it's just
You could have them above him, really.
yeah.
I
But
mean, if someone said, "Oh,
let's
it's Fabregas," that again, it's really hard with midfielders because they
they're
have
also
got it.
different.
They are different, and I just
For
think
those 2 seasons at Leicester and then Chelsea, he was. I've never seen anything like it.
he was I think he's the best holding mid in the world probably at that point.
Yeah, I just think
Really,
he
it
had
just for not
injuries.
like ages, but 2 seasons where could have been, and then he just randomly fell off a cliff, didn't he? A little
Yeah,
bit, and I think again we can go back to that. Well, I can't remember who you said it now against. It was one of them that kind of, I think it was Hazard you said it about, who, had that season where he fell off a cliff a little bit. And I
yeah,
think if you're the best of the best in the Premier League, you don't do that. And I think Kante, unbelievable midfielder, unbelievable holding mid. But for me, I think
yeah.
he goes in there.
Right. Let's
Rio Ferdinand.
yeah, Ferdinand. I think he goes into elite. I think he's if he had two individual. Forget partnerships. I always think it's a bit silly thinking of partnerships
Yeah,
in football because everyone does it for centre backs. No one does it for strikers.
yeah,
Doesn't make
yeah.
sense. But I think if Terry's in elite, Ferdinand has to go in elite.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think
I think he goes in the
I
elite
think they're
there.
the
I think
best two centre backs in the Premier League, and it's bizarre that we didn't do better with England with those two lining up together. I think there's kind of not much
I
debate.
think there's an I think Ferdinand for me. I don't know. I don't know if this sounds harsh or not, but I don't think he was as good as Terry, and I think he does go in elite, but I don't think he was an unbelievable centre back for Rio. But I wouldn't I wouldn't think it's outrageous if someone said put him in great. You know what I
Really?
mean? Because I just think he and that sounds really harsh, but I think sometimes, and mate, a lot of people might disagree with this, but I think when he had Nemanja Vidic next to him, I think a lot of games Vidic outshone him.
I mean, Vidic isn't even on this list,
That's what
is
I
he?
mean. He's not on this list, and I think
Do you think
he
his class kind of got undermined? Not undermined, but not on show as much because Vidic was that all action battling
possibly, I
defender.
think, yeah, maybe. I think you've got to have two different types of centre back, and
Yeah,
maybe he
definitely.
was that different type. But I think you know Vidic would have been. He's an unlucky one not to be on this list, really, I would say. With maybe maybe I'm overhyping Vidic a little bit, but I think that just from when I can remember watching him, I just think he was an unbelievable centre back and unlucky not to make it. But yeah, Rio, I think if I don't think he's as far away from John Terry to put him in great, maybe. But I think if one of them was to go down, I'd say Rio over John Terry. But
Yeah, out of the two,
I
I would
think,
agree.
yeah, I think he's got to go in the elite. I think as
Okay.
well. So Peter Schmeichel,
Again,
I
he's
think,
he's arguably the best goalkeeper the Premier League's ever seen.
I think he goes in
I
elite,
think he
don't
has
he?
to go in
Yeah,
elite.
I think it's
He's
just
not
no
he's
debate.
not top five.
He's in there with Czech,
Um,
both elite keepers, the
as it
top two.
stands, yeah, as it stands, we need one more in top five. I think I know who mine is,
Yeah, I know who. I think we
um,
both agree as well.
but
Um, but it's not Roy
it's
Keane.
not really. Um,
Roy Keane, I think, is the best captain that the Premier League's ever seen.
yeah,
But I think as a footballer, unbelievable
this is going to be
holding mid.
harsh. Isn't it?
It is going to be harsh, but
They're going to say
and
great.
I think so. I
I
think he goes in the great for me. I don't know how you
He is
feel
in the
about
yeah
that.
as a captain, the best captain the Premier League's ever seen. He held that team so accountable, and I do think his footballing ability is under it
Yeah,
almost gone under goes under the radar because of his personality. He is how strong he was in midfield,
yeah,
how aggressive he was, and that kind of punditry career is kind of built into that, which is
yeah,
bizarre to say. He was part of the treble winning team and I think he missed the final, but he was part of that team, and he kept that team at the top for so long.
Maybe I can't put him in great. I don't know. I'm looking now.
I think it would be very harsh. I
Yeah, I
think
think it would be harsh.
he
I'm
goes in
looking at
elite,
it now,
and
and I think he has to go. I think if Vieira's in there, he has to go
I
elite. I
think
think them two had so many big battles together.
if we have to move one down, we're looking at
I think it'd be
Does
Harry
does
Kane.
Harry
I
Kane
think.
have to drop?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it myself and put him in there because I think,
He'll be okay.
and I think, yeah, I, I think, yeah, he's it's a hard one. When I like, do you know what I think it's harsh? Like, obviously, I know we're not done with the other players yet, but I think the reason I think it's harsh putting him down there is seeing Aguero and Shearer in there, and I think that Aguero played in a better Man City team with De Bruyne and just how many class midfielders like David Silva and just I'm pretty sure I don't maybe I'm wrong with goals going up, but I think Kane was the better striker. I know it sounds crazy,
Then
but
Aguero.
I think he was better than Aguero.
Oh, that's such a tough debate.
And I think like, I don't know if that's Tottenham bias, maybe it is, but I just think
I do believe that the
I think if you stick Kane in that Man City team, he scores more goals. I think
definitely, yeah,
If Man
definitely.
City brought Kane, he goes in that team and he scores more goals. And the reason I prove that is because it, I think Haaland will score more goals than Aguero, and I think that Kane. You know, when you've got that with the season they played together, you've got Haaland scoring 36 goals, which is outrageous. But if people forget, Kane scored 30 in that season
Yeah,
with an eighth-place Tottenham team. And if anyone says he couldn't have added six more goals in that Man City team, they're
yeah.
just
I
lying.
think it's a tough debate. I think
But
it's they were different strikers. I don't know. I think it's very very close. But I think the amount of titles they won has to come into it
yeah,
a
no, I get
tiny
that.
bit.
I think it's one of them
It's
that
not, I mean, everyone, all those players are great. Even Drogba and Kante, they shouldn't be that low, but this is what a debate's about, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Shall we go on to who was that? Gerard?
Gerard, Stevie G.
Now, there's an argument that he's top five.
Do you think?
I
I
think
think
if Lampard's in the conversation, then Gerard has to be in the
I think he's
conversation.
in the yeah, I think he's in the conversation, and like I don't maybe I'm just going like personally.
He's at least elite. He's at least
I
elite.
had to put one of them three in the top five. I think them three midfielders. It's always that Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard debate,
Yeah,
and I don't know why, but for me, especially like the fact I'm a Tottenham fan and don't like Chelsea, Lampard just. I think he just edges it out of them three. I
yeah.
think for me it goes Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard. What's yours
What
out of
as in
interest?
Skulls?
Scholes third,
Oh,
Gerrard
right. Okay.
second, and Lampard first. Yeah,
Skulls
yeah,
third.
no, no. I put him third and put him in top five.
Skulls is third. Oh, this is so tricky because I mean, Lampard's record doesn't lie. He's won. Obviously, Gerrard didn't win the Premier League, but is that this is where it's tricky, right?
And this is where
Lampard
it
played
cut.
in a better team than Gerrard did. Gerrard was that one club man guy who dragged his like. Obviously, we'll all remember the Champions League, but this is Premier League. He's that all action midfielder. I think Gerrard could do it all. There's nothing that he could not do.
Yeah,
I think he could defend better than Lampard could,
yeah, I
but he
agree.
could also attack better than Scholes could. He had the
Yeah,
passing range of Scholes. He had the long shots Lampard did. I
yeah,
think he's got all attributes. Now, similar argument with Kane. If you put Gerrard in that Man United team, he wins
yeah.
10
No,
Premier
I
Leagues.
do agree with that.
But
I was about to say that. That's the
yeah,
thing is that if we're saying with Kane trophies come into it, then and in the big moments, I know he did do a lot of things in the big moments, Gerard, but he also slipped on his ass and
yeah,
effectively. And I'm not, you can't. That's just. I actually think it's unfair with like that side of it where it was just pure like, unlucky.
yeah.
He's not
No, of
meant to have
course.
slipped
And I
then, but
think
it's one of them that
the fact that he's in this
he
conversation
if
and
we're
he's
saying it about trophies and things, then you look at Lampard and you look at Gerrard and you think, and Gerrard, I think Gerrard, again, same debate I'd say about Kane and Aguero, for example. You look at the players that, when Gerrard played in that Liverpool team when they were going through pretty bad finishes. Whereas
yeah,
Lampard didn't really have that with Chelsea. He
no,
played with Chelsea, like that Chelsea team when they were just
no,
look how many Chelsea players are on this list. I know Drogba and Kante are there, but you look at Terry, Ashley Cole, Hazard,
check, Lamp, yeah,
Czech, they're just they were the original City of how much money they spent, and just
I've, the thing is, right? I know I can see who's coming next. If we put Gerrard in the top five,
there's no way Gerrard goes in over Rooney.
yeah,
Not a chance in
okay,
hell.
let's put Gerrard in elite for now.
Because I think Wayne Rooney at the minute. I know we said about Salah, but I think for me, so if we put Gerrard in elite,
Yeah,
I think Rooney is the
you
second
put Rooney
contender.
goes straight in. Put him straight in at
Yeah, Rooney
top
goes
five.
straight in the top
I
five.
think at the
He
moment,
would not be the
I
one to
think at the
drop out of
moment,
that either.
Rooney's number two,
I think so. That's what I was going
and
to
I
say.
think I think if you had to order these five, it's Omri, Rooney, Salah, Ronaldo, and then the fifth spot is up for debate for me.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think Lampard's like the concrete guy who has to be to like in the he's not a million miles away from Gerrard and Scholes. They're all very, very closely matched. I just think he just I don't know. I don't know why he edges it for me. He just
I think Rooney,
had that little bit more about him. I don't know.
well,
Like
he's what is he now third in the Premier League goal scorers list. But look at the assists. Like as a footballer, there's not many here that are better than him. He could do it all.
yeah,
He would
he could
go.
do everything.
There was nothing he
I
couldn't do.
loved his aggression as well, just his passion.
And he come in as a 16-year-old, and he was
Yeah, I
doing
know.
it
That
then.
goal he scored at Everton was a
Yeah,
joke.
against Arsenal,
What a joke.
and
Imagine doing that at
he
16.
he arrived, and I think Henri said he kind of this is the kid who's going to kind of take my baton and be the face of it. Wayne Rooney was just unbelievable. He could do it all. Man United's top goal scorer, obviously England's top goal scorer, multiple Premier Leagues, won the Champions League, scored in the big moments. He could score free kicks, headers, volleys, that overhead kick against Man
Yeah,
City.
yeah, yeah.
I think I think his record speaks for itself, and I think there's an argument he's number one on the list. For me, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just Henri.
He's a close second,
I think
I think.
there's still a little bit of a gap with him and Salah, but it's getting closer with Salah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think absolutely top five for Wayne Rooney.
100%. So we've got Yaya Toure. I think Yaya Toure, for me, I think if David Silva's in great, it's hard, isn't it? Because I think realistically, Yaya Toure for me is a better a more better all-rounded midfielder than Keane and Vieira. I think.
Yeah,
I think he can. Toure could do what
Toure
these
could
two could do.
and
Maybe
more.
not to extent of defend. I think these two were slightly better at defending than Yaya Toure, but like I think Yaya Toure could also score. He's got that season he scored 20 goals, and he's literally a box to
He
box
was
midfielder.
yeah
Like
that one season was it 2014?
yeah,
He was
2013, 14, I think.
unstoppable.
Yeah,
Like he could the free
I think
kicks.
yeah,
You couldn't. He was like a freight train running through midfield,
an absolute
and he had the
tank.
feet, he had the power, he had the pace, the skill,
Yeah,
the passing, the finishing. He was just you couldn't beat him.
I would make an
But
argument if he could have replicated that sort of form and was in the Premier League longer, he could have gone down as the greatest Premier League player, like greatest Premier League midfielder
oh yeah, 100%.
ever.
He had all the
I
attributes.
think if he done what he did in that season, I know you could say that about a lot of people, but like I think he could, if he did that, I think he would have been better than Gerrard. At Gerrard Scholes Lampard debate, he would have been on top for me.
Yeah,
I think if he could do that
he
for
had
that
the
length of
best of
time,
everything, didn't he?
yeah,
I think, but on this list, and you've got to think longevity as well.
yeah,
I think he has
that's
to
where it lets him down, doesn't
go
it?
in great.
Yeah, I do. I think if David Silva's in great, I think them two are like
I mean, is he?
the
This
similar
is
sort
so
of
harsh.
level of like.
Is he just about made it?
No, no, I
No,
can't. No, I don't
no.
think so.
Okay.
I think he shits on Kante, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I think he shits on
Wow.
Kante. I think that, I think I think he could do a lot more than Kante. I think,
He was again like one of those players, just a joy to watch, but in a different way. Hazard was a joy to watch for his quick feet and his skill. Like he
yeah,
was. for such a big guy, Yaya was so graceful, and
I just think if you look at his attributes compared to Kante, I think Kante looks a very limited footballer compared to Yaya
yeah,
Toure, in my opinion.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
Um,
Virgil van
last
Dijk.
one. I'm gonna say it straight away. I think. Oh, no, I don't. I don't know.
Well,
He's obviously he's not top five, right?
no,
So, and I don't think he's just about made it.
no.
But but
I
okay,
think a centre back needs to go into great.
I think he goes into great.
I,
Now, if he wins the Premier League this year, maybe he goes up into elite. Now, there's obviously a big debate about him.
I think there's a lot of Liverpool fans that would kick off with that, but I think at the end of the day, is he really a better centre back than Rio Ferdinand and John Terry? I don't think so.
I
I
think if you,
think I think he's close. And do you know what? Actually, when I say that out loud, I don't. I think is he better than
it's,
Rio
tough.
Ferdinand?
I don't. I think it's tough. I think on his day, I think he benefits, and this is incredibly harsh. Look who Ferdinand and Terry, and people who haven't been on the list: Tony Adams, Campbell, Vidic. Look at the strikers they were dealing with in that era.
Yeah,
Virgil van Dijk deals with Haaland, Mbappe, Vinny Jr. They were dealing with Henri, Rooney, Ronaldo. You know, all of these absolute legends.
they were. But if I
I
was to
don't.
argue against for Van Dijk, it's a bit like I was saying earlier about. I think a lot of these players in like the John Terry Rio era, you had your classic. It was no top six. It was just the top four. And yeah, I think in that top four and the top teams, you had more world class, just absolute legends of the game that they would have had to defend against. But I think when you're not playing them four teams, Virgil van Dijk still has to put up a good performance against, your kind of Newcastles now, your Brightons, those teams where mid-table clubs could easily upset you and have good,
Yeah,
talented players like in there. Whereas like Terry and Ferdinand and that the mid-table clubs back then were just shit. You know what I mean? Like some of the players in them clubs were just
yeah.
like poor.
I
Like
think as well, and you said who's obviously this season he's been the best, but in the last few years, who's been the best centre back in the world? It is Van Dijk. And I
yeah,
don't think anyone else gets close to him. I think it's obviously like everyone on this list is fantastic player, but I think someone has to go in great.
yeah.
Now, before we wrap it up,
Are we happy with this
are
list?
we happy? I'm I'm not 100% on Lampard, but I don't
Yeah,
know who I replace him with.
yeah,
If I replace him for me, it's 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 either Gerard.
yeah,
I think it is Gerard for me. If you have to swap,
yeah.
and that's why they get debated so much. I don't. But then Kevin De Bruyne as well. But Gerard didn't win the title. I don't know. What about you? Is there anyone that you're looking at going? Then there's someone
I,
else as well that I will come on to.
I,
That I've had picked up.
I think looking at this list, I'm pretty happy with it overall. I think, I think that's a decent list. Out of the players we've got there, there's going to always be, football's all about opinions and debates. There's going to be loads of
That's what
people that
makes it,
watch
isn't
this
it?
and think, some people think, oh, it's bang on. Some people think, what the hell are these two talking about? And just like, and I think that's like the beauty of football, and you can have these different opinions and debates, and like it all goes by like kind of what you've seen. It what does go into who you support and kind of what matters to you more in football and what you appreciate more. And I think that's when it is just like for me, like Lampard and Gerrard, that like you were saying, they're so close together.
It's kind of just your preference, isn't
It's
it?
just your preference. Yeah, I think
I
that's
think
what it comes
I
down
prefer
to.
Gerard, but you can't ignore the goals and the titles.
And that's what I mean, because it's so close. A bit like, if you're debating, I'll go back to the Kane and Aguero debate and like putting, and like Shearer, for example. Well, it's kind of, you look at kind of what they've won as well. And
Yeah, I think you have
you know,
to.
if we're doing that for Kane and putting him down there, you know, you would go with Lampard over Gerrard. And I think if that's what it comes down to,
Yeah,
then that's what it comes
I
down
think I'm
to.
happy with Lampard. If you could swap, if you could just move one around or swap two players, would you?
Swap two players.
There's someone. There's. I'm not. I'm not that happy about David Beckham being in great. I think he needs to be an elite. And if I had to, rather than just put another player
I think
there,
it's harsh. The thing is, though, I think it's harsh moving Beckham up and leaving Giggs in there. I look at a lot of players in that great and think, you know, like for me,
I, despite myself, I would swap Hazard and Beckham.
Hazard and Beckham.
I think I think Hazard is a Premier League great, but is he overall had a better Premier League career?
I'm
Than,
happy to do that. Should
I'm
we do
happy
it?
with, yeah, I think so.
Okay, right. Beckham goes up there.
Hazard comes down,
Hazard comes down there.
and Hazard's one of my favourite players, like in the Premier League
I
history.
can back
Genuinely, what
that.
he's he's so good, but actually that's really harsh on David Beckham, and he sat there all alone for so long.
Yeah. Beckham redemption right at the
Yeah,
last minute.
right. I mean, there it is.
Yeah.
Henri's the Premier League GOAT. Um, Happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.